The last day of school was always chaotic. Laughter echoed down freshly waxed hallways. Teachers passed out candy and yearbooks, and the final bell marked the start of summer freedom. At Oak Ridge Elementary, June of 2003, felt no different until room 2B, Mrs. Kellerman, a fourth grade teacher with a crisp blouse and a tired smile, conducted her final head count like she had for 20 years. 22 students, checked, signed, gone. The room slowly emptied, one by one, as parents picked up their children with hugs and promises of ice cream. But in the far left corner, near the second window with a view of the playground, one child remained. A girl, quiet, small, short, dark hair tucked behind her ears. She was hunched over her desk, sketching something intently with a red crayon. At first, Mrs. Kellerman thought it was Sarah Parker. Quiet girl, good at art. But Sarah had already been picked up at 2:15. Then maybe Julia Myers? No, Julia left early for a dentist appointment. Puzzled, Mrs. Kellerman walked over to ask her name. But before she reached the desk, the classroom phone rang. She turned to answer. A brief call from the front office. When she looked back, the girl was gone. Just the red crayon remained, rolling slowly across the desk like it had just been dropped. Mrs. Kellerman brushed it off, assuming a parent had quietly picked the girl up. The name tags were packed. The classroom was cleaned. And by 4:00, the school was locked for the summer. But that evening, as the janitor made his final sweep through room 2B, he paused in the doorway. Something strange marked the whiteboard, a drawing that hadn't been there before. Crude, childlike, a stick figure. Girl standing in front of the school, her head colored in red. A big red X drawn over the entire figure. Beneath it, in uneven handwriting, just 5 chilling words. I never went home today. The janitor, Mr. Calhoun, stood frozen in the doorway. He'd cleaned this school for 16 years, seen plenty of doodles and pranks, but something about this one felt wrong. The figure on the board was crudely drawn, yes, but the red crayon looked fresh. Still waxy, still thick, almost wet. And those words, I never went home today, they made his skin crawl. He wiped the board clean, more out of instinct than instruction. But the image lingered in his mind all night. The next morning, he returned early, earlier than the staff, earlier than the principal. He went back to room 2B, hoping it had just been his imagination. But when he opened the door, the red crayon was back, sitting neatly on the desk near the window. No students, no one had access to the room. Overnight, Mr. Calhoun reported the incident to the front office. They laughed at first. Summer jitters, one secretary joked. But when the principal reviewed the pickup logs and cross-checked the attendance sheets, something didn't add up. Room 2B had 22 students enrolled, 22 names, but only 21 confirmed pickups that day. One signature missing, one child unaccounted for. The problem was, no one could agree on who. Teachers began listing names, all the familiar ones. One by one, the roster was reviewed, and each child was remembered, fondly or vaguely. But when Mrs. Kellerman tried to list the seating chart from memory, she paused. There was someone who sat by the window, she said, eyes narrowing. She was quiet, always drawing, always last to leave. She couldn't remember her name. None of them could, not even the kids. They checked the emergency contacts, nothing missing. They reviewed yearbook photos, no unfamiliar face. But when they opened the class photo from 3 weeks prior, a chill ran through the room. In the back row, almost blurred, stood a girl. No smile, no name beneath her, and no one recognized her. She wasn't in any other school photos. Not the fall assembly, not the holiday party, not even in cafeteria roll calls. And yet, every child swore she was in their class. She just was, until she wasn't. By the end of that week, whispers started to ripple through the halls of the Oak Ridge District Office, whispers about a missing name, a vanishing girl, and a red crayon that kept reappearing in room 2B, even after the door had been locked and sealed for summer. The principal, Mr. Layton, tried to quiet the rumors, But even he couldn't ignore what the staff now called the ghost seat. Parents who happened to come in for summer. Paperwork said the classroom felt colder than the rest of the building. The lights flickered once or twice when they passed by, but it wasn't until Mr. Layton decided to review the school's hallway. Security footage from the last day of school that things truly changed. The cameras were motion triggered, logging footage in 5-second bursts. At 4:07 p.m., just after all classrooms were supposedly cleared, one camera, positioned directly across from room 2B, flickered to life. There was no janitor in sight yet. No teachers, just the hallway, still silent. Then the door to 2B creaked open slowly. No one walked out, but something rolled out into the hall, spinning. Slightly before stopping mid-frame, the red crayon. At 4:08, the footage abruptly cut to static for 2 seconds. When it returned, the crayon was gone. Mr. Layton played the footage back, again and again. Each time, the same thing. No footsteps, no figure, just the door creaking, the crayon rolling, and the static. He called the district tech department, hoping for an explanation. They said it might have been a glitch, a frame corruption, maybe even heat distortion. But the janitor swore it was real, because that night, when he returned for another round of sweeping, he found the crayon again, this time not on the floor, but taped to the chalkboard. And beside it, another drawing. A row of desks, 21 figures sitting quietly, and one drawn outside the classroom door. Scribbled in red, boxed in tightly with 2 words below it. Still here. The red crayon was no longer just a curiosity. It had become a warning. Every time someone tried to ignore it, it returned. A new drawing, a new message. The principal ordered room 2B to be sealed off entirely. No summer cleaning, no walkthroughs. But by then, the story had already spread through staff emails and old PTA chats. And one message stood out, a retired teacher named Miss. Winslow replied to the chain with a strange confession. Are you sure it was 2003? I remember something almost exactly like this. In 1987. Her story was nearly identical. A quiet girl, no name, always drawing in red, always sitting near the window. She had been in Miss Winslow's class for 2 months before suddenly disappearing. No pickup, no parent contact, no police file. She hadn't even realized the girl was missing until they took the class photo and couldn't remember her name. When she tried to look it up, it wasn't in the records. Miss Winslow had buried the memory, thinking it was her mind playing tricks on her, until now. Driven by panic or obsession, or maybe something deeper, Mr. Layton went into the school basement archives that weekend. Past the dusty file cabinets, he pulled out a list of every registered student since the school opened in 1973. He searched every year, every class, every teacher. No mention of the girl, no match in names, no face in any official record. But then he found something else. A newspaper clipping. School construction delayed after tragic accident, 1972. According to the article, during construction of the school's west wing, a young girl from the neighborhood had wandered onto the unfinished site. No one knew she was there. The scaffolding collapsed. She was crushed beneath a concrete beam. Her name was Evelyn Hard. She was 6, buried before the school even opened. And her house? It used to stand where room 2B is now. Mr. Layton stared at the photo in the article. Grainy and faded, but unmistakable. Short, dark hair. Same eyes, same frown. He returned to the school that night. He entered room 2B one last time, and there, waiting on the whiteboard in thick red crayon, was a final message. You forgot me. So I stayed. Below it, a new drawing. 21 smiling stick figures in a classroom. And one drawn outside the door, no longer sad, no longer alone, holding hands with the janitor.